The story of Saint Apolinaris, Bishop.
Subscribe to our channel to receive more content like this.
Let me take you back to the earliest days of the Christian Church. Not long after Jesus rose from the dead, and the apostles went out into the world risking everything to spread his message of love, truth, and eternal life. One of those apostles was Peter. Yes, the same Peter who walked on water, the one Jesus called the Rock. And Peter had a mission to bring the gospel to Rome, the very heart of the Roman Empire, but Peter didn't go alone. With him was a devoted follower, a man named Apolinaris. Now, we don't know a lot about Apolinaris' early life. Some say he was born in Antioch, a city in modern-day Turkey, where many early Christians lived. But what we do know is this: Apolinaris loved Jesus. He believed the gospel with all his heart. And when Peter asked him to help bring that message to others, he said yes. Peter saw something special in Apolinaris: wisdom, courage, and a fire that wouldn't burn out. So, when they reached the Italian city of Ravenna, Peter appointed Apolinaris to be the bishop there. Now, Ravenna wasn't some quiet town. It was a key port city, full of travelers, merchants, and Roman officials. And, like the rest of the empire, it worshipped the old gods: Jupiter, Mars, Diana, gods of war, of wealth, of pleasure. So you can imagine how strange, even threatening it was to hear someone preach about one God. A God who became human, who suffered, died, and rose again, not for power, but for love. And yet, people listened. Apolinaris didn't try to impress them. He simply told the truth. He healed the sick. He comforted the broken-hearted. And most of all, he lived what he preached. One by one, people began to believe. But not everyone was happy. The pagan priests, furious. The city officials, nervous. This Christian bishop was turning hearts away from the old gods. If Jupiter was being ignored, what would happen to Rome's favor? So they dragged Apolinaris before the authorities. They demanded he stop preaching. They beat him. They drove him out of the city. But Apolinaris came back. He didn't raise an army. He didn't stir up a riot. He simply returned to love and serve. And over again, it happened. He'd be arrested, tortured, exiled, only to return and continue his mission. Once, he was beaten so badly that many thought he wouldn't survive. But Apolinaris clung to life, not out of fear, but because he still had work to do, and the people loved him for it. To them, he wasn't just a bishop. He was a shepherd, a father, a witness to something greater than Rome. Eventually, the pressure grew too great. Roman leaders saw Apolinaris as a threat, not just religiously, but politically. How could they allow someone to keep preaching a kingdom that wasn't of this world? So, in secret, they had him attacked, beaten so severely that he died from his wounds. he died not with a sword in his hand, but with the gospel in his heart. He gave his life not to destroy his enemies, but to save them, and the church never forgot. Today, the name Apolinaris might not be as famous as Peter or Paul, but his legacy is just as real. He was among the very first bishops to lead the church under threat of death, one of the first to carry the light of Christ into a world ruled by fear. He didn't write books, he didn't seek glory, he just loved his people and stood firm in the truth, no matter the cost. So, what does Apolinaris teach us today? That courage isn't always loud. Sometimes it looks like simply showing up again and again, even when it hurts. That faith doesn't mean we'll be safe, but it does mean we'll never be alone. And that true leadership isn't about power or popularity. It's about service, sacrifice, and love. So, if you ever feel like giving up, if the world feels too loud, too hostile, too broken, remember Apolinaris, a quiet hero of the early church, a bishop who walked in the footsteps of Christ, and a man who proved that love is stronger than fear.